Hi guys, this video is going to give you 30 idioms to help you improve your IELTS speaking skills across a range of different topics and questions. I will be explaining the idioms, what they mean, and showing you how to pronounce them and helping you use them in your own IELTS speaking answers. That's it. Let's get straight into it. Go into business, set up a restaurant, know something back to front, know something inside out, a seasoned worker, be on the ball, take someone on, spread the word, make a point of, go the extra mile, word of mouth, to reach out to someone. Explore all avenues, get the ball rolling, cost an arm and a leg. On a bit of a shoestring budget, a track record. Put it out there. Keep an eye on something. To have it cracked, to be in the bag. It turns out that, to get to the heart of the matter. Missed the mark. It was a dead loss. Let's call it a day. Let somebody go. Your bread and butter. To go belly up. To be on the right track and taking off. Listen, my mate Mark has just gone into business, right? He decided to set up a restaurant because this is an industry he knows back to front. He's a seasoned chef and he knows cooking inside out. On top of that, he's really on the ball when it comes to management too. So he rented a place, fitted it out, and then took on some staff. Then he decided to start a marketing campaign to spread the word about his new place, right? Of course, he takes great pride on giving great customer service, and he always makes a point of going the extra mile because he knows how powerful word of mouth can be. But he wanted to reach out to new potential customers. He was considering newspapers, blogs, magazines. In fact, he was exploring all avenues, and then in the end, he chose to advertise on Facebook. To get the ball rolling, he contracted a consultant that wouldn't cost an arm and a leg because he's on a bit of a tight shoestring budget, right? Now that guy didn't have much of a track record, but he was very enthusiastic. Together, they did some market research, created the advert and just put it out there. Now, then all they had to do was to keep an eye on the figures every day. At first, they thought they had cracked it. It seemed to be in the bag because they got so many views on the advert. However, it turned out that nobody was actually going to the restaurant. Finally, Tom got to the heart of the matter. It turns out that the consultant didn't really understand the customer needs and his advert had missed the mark. It was a dead loss, to be honest, and so Tom decided to call it a day and he let the consultant go. After all, right, this was his bread and butter. He couldn't afford his restaurant to go belly up. So he then invested in a professional marketing company. And now his restaurant is on the right track and is really starting to take off. Well done, Tom. To go into business is to start a business or to begin a company. Basically, you're buying and selling things. So if you're fed up with your job, maybe you want to go into business. Notice we say go into is linked with a w. Go in, go into, go into business. Into becomes inter, go into. And the stress comes on the business. Go into business. Go into business. If you're fed up with your job, maybe you can go into business. Set up a restaurant. Set up a restaurant means to establish or create or begin a restaurant. It's also to set up a business is to start a business. So set up a restaurant. Like many phrasal verbs, you can link set up, set up, set up, and also link the p and the a. Set up a restaurant. The stress falling on the restaurant. Set up a restaurant. Know something back to front. To know something back to front is to know something very well. Back to front, we talk about, for example, if you put a t-shirt and the back comes to the front and the front goes to the back, right? Then it's back to front. So to know something back to front is to know something very well. I don't know why, because if your t-shirt is back to front, you obviously don't know it very well, but it means you do, right? So, for example, I know education back to front. I've read this book 5 times. I know it back to front. Okay. Notice with the t, back to front, and the k and the t sounds. Listen carefully. Back to front. I know it back to front. To know something inside out. It's very similar. I talked about the t-shirt. If your t-shirt, if the label is on the outside and you realize, oh, it's not upside down, it's inside out. So if you know something inside out, then you know it really well, right? If you ever come to Manchester, I will be your guide because I know the city inside out. Great. It's similar to, actually, we also say, like the back of my hand. I know the city like the back of my hand. It's almost like I have a map of the city here. But I know the city inside out, or I know it like the back of my hand. To be a seasoned worker, or to be a seasoned chef. Season, that doesn't mean the chef has salt and pepper on him. Because when we season a salad, we put salt and pepper. But if you're a seasoned worker or a seasoned teacher, or maybe you're a seasoned player, if you play games a lot, it means you're experienced, right? So a seasoned chef is an experienced chef. Why is that? Well, I think it's, if you've been a chef for 10 years, you've seen 10 summers, 10 seasons, right? You've been through so many seasons. You're a seasoned chef. To be on the ball. Be on the ball. Well, to be on the ball means that you are quick, alert, and sharp, right? So sometimes you're in a meeting and you have people who are half asleep, and you have other people who are really quick and understand things quickly. They are on the ball, right? My colleague Tom, the one with the restaurant, he's really on the ball, right? When it comes to managing people, he's really on the ball. He's quick, he's good at it, he understands it. To be on the ball. I think it comes from the original games, sports games, where you have to keep keep your eye on the ball, and then it just contracted to being on the ball, right? So when you're learning English, be on the ball. To take on somebody. Now, in the world of business, actually, there are 2 meanings here. To take on somebody is to employ somebody and to give them a job or to give them work. You can take on an employee. You can also take on a consultant. It's to give them some work. Notice we say take on. Imagine con, take on, take on. Take on somebody. Take on a consultant. I need to take on a consultant. That's the first meaning. Take on can also mean to challenge somebody. If I take you on at chess, I'm going to challenge you at chess. But here in our story about Tom and his restaurant, he took on some staff. In the past, he took on some staff to help build his restaurant. And next, spread the word. If you spread the word, then you're telling other people about something, right? So when you do advertising, you're trying to spread the word about your product. Okay, spread the word. But notice spread and the begin with a similar sound. Spread the. So we don't say spread the, we connect spread the, spread the, spread the word. Stress on the word at the end. Spread the word. Spread the word about this great product. A very similar expression is also get the word out. Get the word out about this fantastic service, this fantastic product. We need to get the word out. The word is the word, the information, right? And you want to get the word out. Pronunciation is similar in that get ends in a t, the begins with a the. The tongue is in a very similar place. So we don't say get the, we say get the, get the, get the word, get the word, get the word out, and link, right? Doubt. Get the word out. Get the word out. Get the word out about this wonderful product. To make a point of doing something means to make a special effort to do something, right? When guests come to my house, I make a point of offering some coffee or tea. When they arrive, I make a point of making them feel welcome. I make a point of giving them a little something to eat. That's a nice expression. A little something to eat is a little snack. I think it comes from Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh is a famous bear for children. It's a storybook for children. And he always used to say, "Oh, it's time for a little something."
What could be more important than a little something to eat?
So, a time for a little something to eat. The meaning is then a little snack. So a little something. So when guests come, I make a point of preparing a little something to eat. Go the extra mile. And this means to make a special effort to do something, right? It's very often used in customer service where the company will try and go the extra mile, make a special effort to make the customer happy. Apparently, this comes from from the Bible, right? Where Jesus was doing the Sermon on the Mount and he said something like, and I can't remember exactly because I wasn't there, but something like, if somebody asks you to go a mile, go with them, right? Make the special effort. For example, some people like to stay in the Hilton Hotel because very often their staff go the extra mile to make you feel comfortable. Word of mouth. Now, word of mouth is where a customer tells another person how good the product or service was. And so they're spreading the word or getting the word out about a product by telling other people directly. The word of the mouth, literally your word goes from one mouth to another. You're telling people about the product or the service by word of mouth. Notice the of becomes of because we're stressing the mouth. Okay, by word of mouth. Word of mouth. By word of mouth. Not easy, right? By word of mouth. So it's very important to understand the importance of word of mouth when you're selling a product. To reach out to somebody. Well, literally, it's to reach out is to stretch out to somebody. And we often use it idiomatically to mean to reach out to somebody who needs help or somebody we want to help and give value to. So if I reach out to my customers, I want to contact with them to either help them or give them some value. So reach out. As with many phrasal verbs, you'll hear that linking, right? Reach out. Reach out to a customer. Notice not the to, but the to. Reach out to. Reach out to customers. It's important to reach out to customers. Explore all avenues. An avenue is a road. It's a very large road, usually. And if you explore every avenue in a city, then it means you're looking at all the options, or you're looking at all the possibilities. Remember Tom, he was exploring all avenues, right? Shall he advertise in a newspaper, a blog, in a magazine, on Facebook, on Google Ads? So he was exploring all avenues. Great expression. To get the ball rolling. To get the ball rolling means to start something, to start some kind of activity. Okay, at the beginning of a meeting, somebody will say, let's get the ball rolling with a game. No, meetings are never that fun, are they? You'd get a party rolling. Maybe at a party, you might get the ball rolling with a game, or if you've got a creative manager, maybe. And get the ball rolling comes from, apparently comes from croquet, which is a game with a ball and a stick, and you just get the ball rolling. It means to start something. So get the ball rolling. Okay. What do you do at a party to get the ball rolling? I would make a point of offering a little something to the guests. It cost him an arm and a leg. That just means it was very expensive. When I bought this computer, it cost me an arm and a leg. Notice arm and a leg. The and very often becomes an. Arm and a leg. Arm and a leg. Arm and a. Arm and a. Arm and a leg. It cost an arm and a leg. It'll cost an arm and a leg. It might cost an arm and a leg. Apparently, this comes back, it dates back to the First World War. And I think when people started going on holiday abroad, they said, if we fly to France, it will cost an arm and a leg, because in the war, it literally would cost them an arm and a leg. Apparently, that's where the phrase comes from. Next. Have a track record means to have some kind of not only experience, but some proof of doing something, some proof of your business or some proof of your ability in the past. So if you are a project manager and you've successfully run 3 projects, you'll have a good track record. You've got 3 projects under your belt, which means in your experience, as a part of your track record. Okay. If you're brand new in a business, you don't have a track record, and that's sometimes a challenge. Put it out there. To put something out there just means to say it or to do it and see what happens. You may not have a particular plan, but you just do it and see what happens. In the story with Tom, they made an advert and just put it out there to see what happens. Put it out there. Put it out. Again, the out and the there, the same sound almost. Out, there. So connect. Out there. Out there. Out there. Put it out there. Why don't you make an advert and just put it out there? Keep an eye on somebody or something. To keep an eye on, obviously, is to keep your eye on, is to watch carefully. Keep an eye on the weather. Keep an eye on the numbers. Keep an eye on the price to see if it's going up. Keep an eye on the price of gold. I think it's going up. So keep an eye on. Again, we're connecting a lot, right? Keep an eye on. Eye on. There's a y sound. The y is the connecting. Eye on. Keep an eye on. Keep an eye on the numbers every day. Keep an eye on your family. If you're in a bit of a dodgy part of town, Keep an eye on your wallet. Make sure it doesn't get stolen. To crack it. Crack it. To crack it. To crack it is to succeed at doing something. And I think it goes back to the code, like on the safe in the bank. And if you were able to crack the code, you could work it out and successfully open the safe. So to crack it, to succeed, right? I've cracked it. I've finally worked out how to do it. Have you cracked IELTS yet? To be in the bag. There's nothing in the bag. To be in the bag means to be sure to happen. It's a safe bet. Also means it's sure, right? So imagine you're negotiating a contract and you said, it's in the bag, right? It's in the bag. It's sure. We've got it. We're going to get it. It's in the bag. You've done your IELTS test. You're feeling confident. Will you get a band 7? Wow, it's in the bag. I'm sure we will. It turns out that, and this is a kind of idiomatic expression, it's also a very good linking and cohesive device. And it means the result is. So something happens, and in the end, often the surprising result was this. So we did this and this and this, and then it turns out, surprise, that this happened. So you'll remember Tom invested quite a bit of money. They did an advert. Lots of people saw the advert, but it turned out that nobody went to the restaurant. So the surprising result was that. Okay, it turned out. It and turned ends in a T, starts with a T. It turned. Don't say it turned. It turned out. It turned out. It turned out that nobody came to the party. To get to the heart of the matter is to get to the root of the problem, to get to the cause of the problem, right? Something's not working, you need to get to the heart of the matter. Find out what the problem is. Miss the mark, and this means something doesn't work or doesn't happen as expected, or basically missed the target. When you're aiming, trying to achieve something and you don't get there, you miss the mark. We use this quite a lot for example, an advert doesn't hit the target, or maybe some kind of a campaign, a political campaign, and they have a special slogan and it misses the mark. It doesn't hit the target. It doesn't work. To be a dead loss. To be a dead loss means that something is worthless, completely worthless, a waste of time, right? Last night I went to a party. It was a dead loss. There was nobody there. There was no food. There was no music. Just wasn't a very good atmosphere. It was a dead loss. It was a dead loss. Now we don't say dead loss because dead and l, the d and the l, the tongue is in the same, almost the same place. So we keep it there, right? It's a dead loss. Dead loss. Can you see? It becomes one sound. It was a dead loss. Actually, I bought this pen the other day. When did you last buy a pen? The other day I bought this pen. And look how good it is, how smooth it is. It doesn't even work. I bought this pen the other day. It was a dead loss. It cost me an arm and a leg, and it was a dead loss. To call it a day. Now, to call it a day is just to say, let's stop. You've been in a meeting for 2 hours. You're making no progress. You've put lots of ideas out there, but it's not really working. It's a dead loss. It's time to stop. It's time to call it a day. To call it a day. Okay, we're connecting again. Call it a day. A day. Call it a day. And very often we say let's call it a day. So At the end of it can be anything. It can be a meeting. It could be a business. You've been in business. You set up a business. You've been in business for 2 years, but you've missed the mark. It's just not working. It's time to call it a day and stop the business. So it can be long term or short term. To let someone go. Well, this is a bit of a euphemism, which is a word that really means something else. What we're really saying is to fire somebody or to sack them, right? Somebody is not performing very well, not doing what they should do or what you're paying them to do. Fire them or let them go. It's more gentle. I'm sorry, Tom, it's time to let you go. Really means it's time to fire you. My bread and butter actually means my main source of income. Doesn't mean I eat bread and butter every day, although I may. It's actually how I make a living. For example, as a teacher, I teach classes. That is my bread and butter. It's my main source of money or income, right? For Amazon, traditionally selling books was their bread and butter, but now they've diversified and they sell everything, all sorts of bits and bobs, lots of different things. So your bread and butter. Notice again, as with most binomials, something and something, the and becomes un, because you stress the bread and the butter. Bread and butter, bread and butter, bread and butter. Teaching is my bread and butter. What about you? Go belly up. Now this is interesting because the belly, as you may know, is, you probably can't see, the camera's not big enough. Probably not a bad thing because I'm putting on weight, but my belly is my stomach. And if your belly is up, it refers to the sea animals, the fish and the whales, that when they die, their belly goes up, right? So it doesn't mean die, it means really when something goes badly wrong. Often we use it to mean bankruptcy. So when a company goes bankrupt, that means it's lost all its money, then it goes belly up. So if your business goes belly up, you lose your money, you go bankrupt. If a project you're doing goes belly up, it just goes badly wrong. So it goes belly up. I think it's a really nice expression, belly up. Belly up, it sounds like cheer up, but it's not, because it's the opposite. Things are quite bad. You need to cheer up if your project goes belly up. That's true. To be on the right track. To be on the right track means that you're on the right path. You're doing the right thing, okay? So listen, if you're studying every day and practicing speaking every day, you're on the right track. You're doing the right thing to reach your goal of cracking IELTS. So to be on the right track, notice right and track, because it finishes with a t and begins with a t, we don't stop. You don't say right track, you say right track, on the right track. I'm on the right track. We are on the right track. I'm sure we're on the right track. And finally, take off. Of course, that means the aeroplane takes off. But when you talk about a business or a project taking off, it means it's starting to do well, starting to rise, starting to make profit, right? So it's taking off. In the story, Tom's project was taking off. So that's it. Those are your 30 idioms in, well, 60 seconds at the start, but you may have noticed it was a little bit longer to explain it. But I hope it's been useful. You should now have lots of idioms that you can pronounce well, start practicing, start using them in your answers. My only word of warning is you don't need to use lots and lots in every answer. Just sprinkle a few in your answers. 1 or 2 or even 3 in the whole test is probably enough. Anyway, if you want to talk about business, success, challenges, teamwork, companies, this is the video for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe, share it with your friends, and I'll speak to you soon.